Hi, I'm live. A few minutes early. I want to wait for you guys to come aboard. And let's see if we've got this going okay. Lighting, a little bit less lighting. Let's see. Oh boy. Okay, just trying to get the lighting right in here, guys. So I'm live. I'm back. I guess I'm back, guys. Took a little bit of time off, tried to regroup and, kind of figure out my next steps. We'll talk about that a little bit today. And was hoping I was more rested, but I'm back regardless, guys. I'm just going to wait for some more people to show up before I start chatting. Thank you for coming and joining me on this live event. Hi from New York City. Thank you. Hi, Dan. Hi, Chanel. Chanel, is that how you say it? Thank you for joining me. I wanted to kind of just pull back the reins a little bit and regroup on and have more of a purpose with my channel. I'm going to explain what I'm going to be doing next. And I thank you so much for watching so far. And let me see, I think it's too much light going on here. There we go. I've got a little bit of a makeshift studio that I'm developing here. It's a small space, but it's going to be the beginnings of my new part of my YouTube. I'm still going to do the usual other things, demonstrations and pattern making and draping and discussing fashion, but I also am going to be doing a new platform. Oh God, thank you. I wished I had time to do a whole process on my skin. I was supposed to do actually micro needling. But I couldn't fit it in with her and my schedule. But I feel like I don't look rested and I don't look good. But thank you for saying that. Because you are on live, so beauty and makeup and what you're wearing is also a part of the whole journey, right? And even though fashion designers would rather just wear a t-shirt and jeans and be in the background, I've really loved seeing, how things are in every aspect of fashion, as well as retail, wholesale, behind the scenes, and now bringing it to you guys live and bringing it to you and giving you a breakdown of the industry itself. So I've made it my passion to do this. But I will say in the very beginning, the reason why I even started the channel was what I'm going to be doing next. I don't want to go into too much detail because I want to do that when the actual first video is released. But it's going to be a little bit of a different format. It does not exist so far, and I think it's time. I think I have enough of a following with you guys to do this type of platform. I don't want it to be just plain, like you're in school. I want it to be somewhat entertaining. I want it to be exciting. I want it to be informative. So I'm going to be doing a new way of doing this. It's almost going to be my show. I know that is probably still already taken, but this is something that was given to me in my spirit and that I wanted to do for over 10 years, guys. And I didn't see the platform being something that could work on YouTube, but I think it can. And I think I'm going to be able to do it. So this tiny little studio setup, just going to show you. This is going to be the new studio demonstration table, and it's going to be for very simple, quick demonstrations, not long, involved projects. That will still take place in the other studio that I have in the location of my house. And then this will be here That is going to be actually the couch. This is going to be the interview couch where I'm going to interview people from every aspect of fashion, beauty, everything that is related, even things that you think are not related that are related. And we're going to do this quick and simple. I'm going to try to do it so it's entertaining. I'm going to have first an interview on the couch, guys. We're going to do an interview on the couch, and then we're going to do a quick demo here. And that will be the show format that I will be doing. I'm not going to abort my other things that I put on YouTube. I will put those as well because I want to get your feedback. I want to know what you guys want and if this is something that's interesting to you. I think it's time, guys, that fashion is broader. Fashion is not just, oh, thank you, I'm glad, I'm so glad. You know, fashion is not just, you know, learning how to make a pattern, learning how to sew simple stitches. Fashion is everything, right? People used to tell me, I used to get so angry because they would tell me, you know, why do people watch cooking shows? Not everybody's going to cook that item. Well, guess what? You know, they said, well, everybody eats. Well, guess what, guys? Everybody wears clothing. Well, I would say most of the people wear clothing, all right? Unless you're in a nudist colony. You know, you're wearing clothing. So whether you care about what you're wearing, you're still kind of consciously or unconsciously putting things together to put on your body. So fashion is that broad. Fashion is that broad. And I wanted to bring that to you guys on my channel and start to explain and show how wide and broad fashion is, how fun and entertaining it can be as well. So I think I'm so glad you guys are on board with this. Thank you for the feedback. This is what I wanted to hear. It is it's nerve-wracking. It's going to be a little bit difficult, a little bit hard to navigate because I want to do it short. We're going to do short 15-minute interviews and short 15-minute demonstrations. So it will be the show. And then I will also have my Patreon account where we're going to be doing my French draping that will not stop. You're going to learn French draping from the very beginning with me there on my Patreon account. And then also flat pattern and draping. I have mannequins everywhere. I have mannequins all over this place. We have the mannequins from South Africa over there that I did the unboxing of, and I also have, you know, the wool forms and the modern forms. So, you know, we're going to start talking about different equipment and how you use it. But at the same time, guys, I want this to be broader, entertaining, and informative. And I wanted it to have a purpose. So that's what I'm going to be doing with the YouTube channel coming up. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a little difficult, a little tricky navigating the situation and trying to make them short and sweet for you. Because I know you don't want long, huge tutorials. I do want another platform where I'm going to have paid courses, full courses where it's extremely detailed. Let me know where you guys like to see it. If you're going to want to see it on my actual website where we can put it there, or do you want to see it on different formats that are usually seen and people, you know, frequently go to. I want something a little bit different than the Patreon platform, but I'm not really sure where. So I would love your feedback on where you guys, if you do go to paid courses and paid classes, where do you guys go? I would love to know that. You know, give me that in the comments or on the live feed. If you have any questions right now, I'm all yours. So it's not going to be a long live event today, but I wanted to just, you know, come aboard, and I don't even know where I'm supposed to look. Am I supposed to look there? I guess I'm supposed to look there. Oh God, don't like doing it on my computer, but it's too complicated to do it otherwise. What is couture and haute couture? I have a whole video on that. I have an entire video dedicated to what is couture and haute couture. But So I'm going to put that in the link because I want you to see that video. But couture is the highest level of fashion and workmanship. It is, there's ready to wear, there's Missy, there's contemporary, there's all different levels of fashion, which couture and haute couture is the highest level of fashion. So it is and couture is also something that is mostly made by hand, either beading, hand sewing, intricate works, hand painting, pleating. It's mostly done by hand. There's very little machine involved. There's a lot of criteria to call something couture. Certain areas of the world cannot even say they have couture. America has been one of those places where they say there is no couture, but I think we do have them. It's in my video. You'll have to watch it and see who I think is a couturier that was American and was doing it in the United States. But that was my training, that was my background, and I still kind of trickle that in everything that I do. Even when I'm doing ready to wear, I'm going to always put couture elements, and that is a little bit more difficult, a little bit more advanced workmanship. It is where time is not of the essence, where you can do details that you couldn't do in ready to wear if you were going to actually try to sell something for a very low price. Couture is the highest level. Haute couture is high fashion. Avant-garde is crazy fashion. It is high level, but it is not normal or just out of the ordinary of what you could expect from a particular garment. So I hope that helps you and answers some questions. Just keep them coming. I'm also going to stress also the slopers, and I'm going to also mention that. And I'm also going to bring people in for my interviews that are from everything from photographers, makeup artists, hairstylists. These are all important elements in fashion design. The pattern makers, the cutters, the fabric resourcers, equipment that you need. I was just in Miami for a couple of days and just going and looking at different machines because I wanted to bring a machine here. And, there's just an abundance of different manufacturers that do just simple, very strategic things. I mean, while I was there speaking to the guy on, the Juki machines, other guy comes in and he says all he does is binding. That's all he does. He supplies manufacturers for binding, and that is how you finish off a garment if you're not lining something, and that's all he supplies, and that's all he does. So there's so much to fashion. I'm also going to be speaking very, very soon with a costume designer, a prop designer, somebody who actually works with props and putting together events and staging for actual performances. So, you can just pick one element, and there's so much just in that one element. I mean, I could just talk for a long time on costume design, but there's different areas of it: movies, stage, theater, also animation, all of that. So there's just different areas, and fashion is very involved. It is very technical. There's a lot to it, but there's also a lot of things that you can learn and understand without having to be a fashion designer or going to a school to learn, just for your own knowledge or for your own inquisitive mind. So that's what I want to do. Okay, where do these high-end top designers get their fabrics? Very, very good question. Mostly Europe. I wish maybe next year I'll try to do it. There is a very, very exclusive fabric marketing event that's in Paris. Okay, there's one in New York that's I think twice a year. There used to be one in Miami. I know there's one in LA. A friend had just come back from the one in LA, and these are commercial setups that are not for the public. They are for fashion designers who have a manufacturing company, or they have a tax ID, which you're going to need. But there's Italian shows, there's shows in Japan, but there's a really, really good one in Paris. And I would love to be able to do that and maybe show you a little bit behind the scenes. So a lot of this fabric is European. You don't literally have to go to Europe to get those European fabrics. You can go to New York and there will be reps or representatives of those houses in these different locations that can show you portions of the line. They can show you parts of the line that you can buy from. Like I said, I used to buy Saltisse fabric, which is the most exclusive lace in the world, and that was from France, but I never bought it in France. I would go to New York, or even Miami had a rep. But most of the couture designers either are making their own fabric, guys, or they are buying European goods, because the highest end and the highest quality of the fabric is important for the highest quality of the garment they're actually making. So fabric comes from all over the world. And so that's where, you know, they're probably getting most of their goods. I want to go behind the scenes and show you some actual places where you can buy the fabric if you're just starting out as a new designer, or if you are a designer that has manufactured for a while. You can always start by going to high-level fabric stores. You know, there are some, every place has their one or two fabric stores are becoming more and more extinct. Some of the owners are getting older and dying off, and some of these, you know, family-owned businesses are no longer around, but there's still some really great ones. You know, there's, I don't know where you're in New York. Well, you can always just get fabric. You can go to Mood. Mood is a pretty famous fabric place where they have pretty much everything you would probably want to find when it comes to fabric. So if you've been to Mood, that would be good. I heard a little secret that Mood might be coming to Miami, and that's closer to me, and that would be even fun. But then again, they're getting their fabric from these high level manufacturers from all over the world. They go to, you know, when they're cutting these garments and there's extra, they are then brought to these companies called jobbers that supply the smaller houses. Okay, where do I get my own fabrics that I made my designs? I had very specific fabrics when I was doing the very beginning things, when I was just working on all silks and all wools. I had many different companies. Some of these companies don't even exist anymore, but they were very high level companies. I talk about Abraham Silk, that doesn't exist today. They were the top Swiss print house in the world. Their fabrics were incredible, and their fabric designers and were even as famous as the fabric house themselves, because in those days you had to go to those people. Now you can design your own fabric pattern. You can send it off to China or Japan or one of these places, and you can even have that fabric manufactured. But I went to very specific houses: French fabric houses, Italian fabric houses. Like I said, most of them don't even exist any. Marcel Banzinger was one of them. Incredible French fabrics. And then Saltisse was the French lace. Then there were other little jobbers that would have some of the other pieces. There's a fabric house in New York that will sell to small designers. I will put it in the comments because I'm going to probably mess up the name. It's oh gosh, I'm going to forget the name. I'll put that down. They'll sell as little as 5 yards to you. Otherwise, when you go to these houses, you would sample the fabric and maybe get 5 to 50 yards, but then you would have to dedicate and buy their minimums. That could be hundreds of yards. When you're buying fabric that is $60 to $100 or $200 a yard, when you're buying hundreds of yards of this, it can get pretty steep. if you, as a new designer. So there are certain companies, I'll put the name, and I might even interview them when I get a chance, if I ever go to New York soon. It's Camilla, or I'm going to mess up the name, so I'll put it in down later. And there are some of these houses that still exist. They're in New York, and you can buy small yardage, and anything from silk taffeta, chiffon, organdy, all of the basics, and in a wide range of colors, or even some very exclusive things. So you want to look for jobbers also, because they'll have the most exclusive things that they get small pieces of that you can't do a production for, but you can do small limited editions. I did a lot of small limited editions with some of my expensive pieces, so it was adequate. I could do it. Okay, students, of course, students pay for themselves. Okay, if you do a Paris trip, this is possible to take it interested students with you. That I'll see how I can do that. First of all, you have to understand some of these shows, because I've tried to do this before, guys. They don't want outsiders' eyes in the show. They don't allow it. So I have to kind of rethink how I'm going to do this. I might have to go and see a certain booth that will allow me to film, so I can show you what goes on inside, because it is just for the industry. And it's made that way so that you have something exclusive to show in your line. Otherwise, every, Tom, Dick, and Harry can have your collection of clothing and fabric, if that makes sense. It has to be somewhat exclusive to the industry. Have you ever been to New York? Well, of course. NYFW, which one? What is that? New York Fashion Week. Hello. Oh my God, you can tell I'm tired. I just drove back from Miami last night. Yes, I have. And it has changed. Yes, thank you. It has changed quite a bit. It's not in Byron Park anymore, and it's sort of all over. Now they even have an internet or just totally viral type platform. But yes, I have. And I've been there many, many years ago, as well as when it is grown. Again, it depends on how much they want to be seen as far as cameras going in the back and showing some of the stuff. But even going to schools, if you go, like I went to FIT, and of course FIT is in New York, even if you go to some of these schools, they allow you to sign up for fashion shows and helping behind the scenes and things like that, whether you take a full course or not. I think you can still do that. That's a way of seeing what actually goes on in Fashion Week. But we're sneaking cameras in as much as we can. We're trying to figure out how to show you behind the scenes more than, not anymore, because everything is on YouTube, everything is on the internet. So it's getting to the point where they'll let you do that. But Fashion Week in New York is not like it used to be. It is not as exclusive and as tight as it used to be. It is pretty widespread, and it is open. If you have the funds to pay for the event or to pay for your portion of a show, you can almost pretty much get your show on New York Fashion Week. You do have to go with a panel of judges to see that if your garments are adequate for the platform, but it is a little bit more open and easy to get involved in that. Then there's also the shows, not just the runway shows, but the shows that are very, very important, where your bread and butter is, where you're going to be selling your garments and how you're going to be selling your garments. Because Fashion Week is just a 15-minute show showing a glimpse of what you are able to perform and show and do. But you have to go into an actual platform where buyers are able to come and buy your line. And those shows, like Couture, and the ones that are in Vegas, I'm going blank. I think it's just because I'm tired. But there are, different platforms and different shows that are all over the country that showcase your line that you have to buy a booth in. As a fashion designer, you have to get approved to get that booth in that show. Then you have to pay quite a lot of money, a minimum of about $10,000 to have that booth to show to buyers. And it's a designated area. There's obviously some in New York. There's obviously Vegas and LA. And sometimes there were little small ones in Miami as well. How much does it cost to get your design shown? If you're going to be going into an actual runway show, that is also very expensive. That could be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 if you're lucky. If you're going to be sharing a platform with other designers where they bring in the models and pay for several shows, then you might be able to get something like that done between about $5,000 and $10,000. Otherwise, you're looking at a lot more. To put an actual runway show together, you're talking in the double digits. You're talking $25,000 to $50,000 to put a show together by yourself. That's why you want to find these platforms. New York Fashion Week has it. Miami Fashion Week has it. I don't know so much about LA, guys, but you can find these platforms and where the designer groups are, the fashion groups meet, and you can ask to be a part of it. You have to, like I said, be approved. Hi, Natalie. Thank you for watching. Yeah, it's expensive to be a fashion designer. It's not easy, but there are ways to do it if you're new and you want to do small lines and get started where it doesn't have to cost a lot, depending upon where you live. And there are platforms that you can use. What is the purpose of showcasing the garments on a runway? Do people actually purchase these pieces? Good question. They do on high-level fashion shows. You'll see them in the front row, and they'll have a book. And the book will actually have every piece that's going down that runway, and they get to mark and make notes. And then they go back later to the showrooms and actually place the order. But I used to say in the very beginning when I started my company that fashion shows were just total ego and I wasn't going to do them. And I just went into booths and sold my garments through representatives and booths. But I'm rethinking that the showcasing on a runway is also essential if you can afford it. If you cannot afford it, there are other ways of going about it. Great photography, guys. You've got to have good photography, having good images that you can send to these different stores and boutiques. Once you start getting into department stores and things like that, you're going to need representatives because it's just a lot of legality, a lot of negotiating. It gets a little bit more difficult. Hi, Toronto. Love Toronto. You guys have a great fashion capital there as well. Canada is awesome. A lot of designers. When I was repping my line and I was also sharing booths with other lines, there was a lot of Canadian brands that sell well in the United States. So, selling here in the United States as well as selling in Toronto. Depending upon where you want your platform to be, guys, that will also depend on how much it's going to cost and where you want to go, how big you are, what type of line you want to show, what type of garment you're actually manufacturing. I mean, my very first line, I think it was 11 pieces, okay, just 11 pieces. But I had to make sure that each one of those pieces was made in sizes, that each one of those pieces I had enough fabric for to produce a small, to sell to as many stores that I wanted to, and that I showcased in good photography, good press kits, good online, like your website, where there's a section on your website that only professionals can click on and see your images, not just for the public, because you want to sell to stores first, unless you're selling to the public only. If that makes sense, depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on what you're trying to do. So if you give me more specific what you're trying to do, I can be more specific with the answer on that. But I'm going to start bringing in people that are part of all of this huge, encompassing fashion design industry. And I'm going to start showcasing it and showing you what each one of these positions or each one of these jobs do in the fashion design industry. Hi from North Carolina. I went there and visited my sister. Beautiful place. I went to Charlotte. Thank you for watching. That was good. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the advice. Do celebrities borrow these designer gowns? Another good question. Okay. One of the things I didn't want to do was, it depends on who the designers are, because I will say most of them are borrowed, but it's a whole industry in itself. There's stylists who get to borrow these gowns. There are buildings with just these particular gowns from different designers that are then on a platform where the stylists of the celebrities come to and pick what they want to show. There's a good Netflix show about this, and I'll put that down there as well. There's these two guys, and they kind of show you how it's done, and it's fascinating, and it's also very educational. But the designer, most of the celebrities don't really have to pay for their gowns, unless, of course, you're Tom Ford. Tom Ford does not give his gowns for free. Believe it or not, you have to pay for a Tom Ford. So you don't hear Tom Ford a lot on the red carpet unless you're willing to pay. So it depends on the designer and what they're willing to do. But yes, it is huge advertisement for designers, especially if you're kind of up and coming, or you're on the cutting edge, or if you've been in the limelight a lot. You want to have boom, boom, boom. You want to have your name out there that many times that it's worth it for you to have that one runway piece. A lot of these runway pieces, guys, are done in duplicates, okay? They're done in duplicates. I used to do my samples in duplicates. There's one for the showrooms, there's one for in-house, and there's one to let go. That means there's one that can go to that stylist who's going to dress Jennifer Lopez or whoever it is, right? And there's also that one that stays in-house, because you always have to have one. Why? So that your seamstresses, your cutters, your pattern makers are able to see what they're actually duplicating and perfecting for production. You have to have one always for the sewers. You have to have one for your workers, and you have to have one for show. So when you're making your line, I will definitely stress, even if you're a small guy and you want 10 pieces in your line, make duplicates of each one of your pieces so that you can do this. It's expensive. I mean, I talk about how putting a small ready-to-wear line or small contemporary line together, how much it costs. It's quite a bit. So sometimes even selling these samples can be, when people say they're selling their samples, those samples, if I can give you a calculation, whatever the price, the price of that garment ends up being in production, it is 8 times that to make that first sample. So if you want to calculate, that's how you would want to that's my calculation. That's how I used to calculate for my own company. It might have grown, I don't know, but whatever you decide that you're able to trickle down and make that garment in production, making that first sample is 8 times that cost. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to do one sample right, because you're perfecting and you're making all the mistakes and you're fixing and you're making it again and again till it's right. And that's what goes down the runway. And that's what goes to your salesman. And that's what you actually show. So that garment is it's a lot of manpower, a lot of time involved in doing that. So there's a lot to the industry. There's a lot to the industry. I want to stress before I go that you're going to need the sloper sets. I also have the torso sloper still. I do have it on my website, guys, still for the $50 for the 5-piece sloper set. And you're going to get this sloper torso set free. It's still on my website. You need it. Whether you have a mannequin or not, this is the perfect size, sample size 8, to make your sample garments. And if you want to do flat pattern, which is a simpler, easier way and faster way of making your samples, get my sloper set and you'd be on your way. And I have a lot of videos explaining how to use the sample set as well. Okay. What if you're smaller? Well, it depends. You want to use yourself, if you're a size 2, let's say, do you want to use yourself as a sample? If you want to use yourself as a sample, think about this. If you're making yourself, because I did this, okay? I used to make a size 2 sample, okay? Because the runway models in those days were size 2. They still are in different areas. I had to pay more to grade up, because when you're selling your samples in a platform like Couture or one of those places in New York, they're going to want samples that are about a 8, okay? A 6-8, because half of these buyers are going to take your garment and try it on behind a scene somewhere to see how it fits, to check the construction, and to see if it is wearable. So if you decide you want to make a size 2 for your samples, you can then take my sloper and I can teach you how to grade it down, or you can pay a little bit extra and I can give you a size 2 sloper for that, and I will grade it down to your size. So that's something that you might want to do. But think about this. Every time you make a size bigger, it costs that much more. And you're going to need to make a sample in this range that I have, because when it comes down to selling your garment, they're going to want that size to see in person, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's called Styling Hollywood on Netflix. Yeah, it's a cool show. I love this show. I love them. He's awesome. He's awesome. And I like the fact that, do you like Versace? That is giving me chills, okay? Because I lived in Miami for 20 years, and I used to walk across the Versace's mansion. And I used to buy my European magazines in the same place as Gianni Versace bought his European magazines that he later died, when coming back to his home. And I was actually even invited to the Versace mansion, but was too chicken to go to the event. I love Versace, and I love the original Versace. I think that Donatella has grown and done a good job, and I think that it has blossomed into a really, really good brand. But nothing was like when Gianni was there. So I still like Versace. Versace's still amazing. And Donatella, I think, took on something that was so difficult and did an incredible job doing it. So Versace is a great line. And I miss that the Versace, they had practically had a showroom there next to the mansion in Miami. All of that is gone. It's all gone. It's a shame. And the mansion is no longer, I think, with the family. I'm not really sure about that. But anyways, guys, sample size is an 8. It's not an 8. The sample size is an 8 because it's on a dress form that's a size 8. But it actually is a garment that is a 4-6 garment. We call it an 8. It is not a size 8. It is a 4 or a 6. So understand that. Okay, this makes sense. I have taken a few classes in design, and they make it. It's a 6. It's a 6. It's an 8 sloper because it's an 8 mannequin. You have to understand these dress forms. If you watch my dress form video, do not change but every 50 years. So these measurements, they'll stamp a size 8 on that dress form, but depending on the year that you are in now, 20, 30 years later, it could be a different size. We're growing, our bodies are growing as in the United States. So that size 8 dress form, we're calling a 4 or a 6, if that makes sense. So, but I did make samples in a size 2. I did. And I sold those samples very easily back then in the size 2. But I wouldn't recommend it today. So, yeah, get your sloper set. I'm going to be doing a demo on here very soon. But the sloper set is the skirt, the front and back skirt. Let me get this. Okay. The front and back bodice and the sleeve. That is the 5 pieces that makes up pretty much every garment, as you could probably conceive. And to make it easier, I also then made the torso sloper, this for dresses, jackets, even coats, lingerie. So you need this torso sloper in order to do that. And I'm going to be giving that still away for free. So if you go on my website, you can purchase the 5-piece sloper set. I do recommend it. Even if you have a mannequin, you're going to need your sloper set. And the first thing I always ask when I go into a company, where's your mannequin? Where's your sloper? Where are your measurements for your company? You need to develop your measurements for your company that is consistent with your brand, so every garment you make has those measurements and grows with it. Okay, I'm going to buy your sloper. Good. And it's a very, very low price. Like I said, people in the industry are angry at me because I'm making it so low, but I want as many people to get it as possible. Oh, good. Thank you. And please specify when you buy the sloper, guys, that you want the torso sloper, because I'm going to give it to you for free. Okay. I'm going to give you this one for free. I show you how to make this, but you're going to get mine. Also understand that I've tweaked this sloper set so that it's perfected to what I would use and have used for my entire collections that I had. Because I did have collections. I sold way back in 85 to the 90s, and then I took a hiatus from that and started working for other companies, and then start producing lines again in 2004 to all the way to 2015 when I stopped producing and manufacturing to do mostly the videos and instructional. So if anybody comes to me and wants to get counseled by me or consult with me as far as putting their collections together and how to put this, that's the first thing they have to do. If you do want to get consultation with me, also let me know on that on my website. We do have that starting where you're going to have one-on-one with me, as well as I'm going to try to figure out another format where we can have more than one. Okay, means that you don't need to drape anymore. True. The slopers can replace draping, and mine particularly because I draped my slopers, so they are great for the form. They're not just stupid calculations with numbers. Okay, it makes me crazy when I see some of those videos. This actually fits a person. This actually fits a dress form that is perfect for the industry. You can get away with not getting a dress form or holding off, but I do recommend both. To eventually, I have the figure forms that I showed on Cape Cod. They're as low as $250 for a starter dress form. I'm going to turn this around so you can see it. This is the dress form here from Cape Town, South Africa. And I have an entire video explaining all about this dress form for a starter dress form if you cannot afford the full-blown, $500 or $1,000 dress form. I'll give you that information. Do you have videos on how to use this? Absolutely. And I've also all of the videos in a playlist on my YouTube channel for slopers. So if you want to learn specifically, or you want to see all the videos that have to do with slopers, it'll be on a playlist. So when you start one, just keep continuing. It'll give you another video right after that, and there'll be a playlist. So let me know that. Plus, on my Patreon account, if you do sign up, you can go, the first level is French draping, where I teach you French draping from the very beginning to advanced. And then the second portion is you can ask me a question, any fashion design question. It could be how to make a certain thing with a sloper or whatever, and I make a specific video for you on that platform answering your question. So you might want to check out the Patreon account. It's also Susan Elias Couture, where I show you that. But I'm anxious to show you also the fun little platform of my little mini talk show that I hope you're going to like. And when that comes out, we will talk further about that. But I'm also going to continue to give you how to do things with the sloper, how to drape, how to cut, and all of everything else that you need to do in fashion design. So I didn't want to go too long on this one today, but if you have any more questions, let me know. I'm going to have a little sip. If there's anything, but like I said, go on the website, Susan Elias Couture. Actually, I think it is Elias Couture or SusanElias.com for the website. Do you have a video on notches? I show in certain videos how to notch, but I don't have a specific one on notches. I could possibly consider doing one just on notches. But every time I show a video, thank you for the purchase. I see it there on Squarespace. Thank you. I show you that when you make it, I even show you on here with the notcher, professional notcher, and I'm always showing you how to do that. When I make a pattern and I'm showing you a pattern on any of my videos, I do explain the notching process, but maybe I'll do a specific video just on notching and notchers and stuff. That would work. Oh, can you tell me the website again? It is SusanElias.com. Let's see if I can say something, if I can put it here. It is SusanElias.com or EliasCouture.com. And I have a little sneak of my couture pages, seeing some of my couture pieces. Please see me on Instagram, which is Susan Elias Couture. It's the same as my YouTube channel. On Instagram, I want to see you there. I'm trying to build that and because I think it's more comparable with YouTube. Yep, so that's the site. And then there's a portion where it says, I think it's buy or purchase. Is a little tab, and you can see where the sloper is. There's just a couple of items there for sale. We're building that as we go, and it has the 5-piece sloper set for you to be able to buy. Make sure you put your shipping address, any notes you want, any kind of details that I need to know about you, even maybe your phone number, just in case for shipping. If you're in the United States, please, give me. If you're not in the United States, please give me all the codes and all the information. I do ship this worldwide. I do ship it worldwide. I've sold it in England. It's gone to Australia very, very in recent days. So it is going all over the world. And I will say, if you're in the United States, you are have more of a legs up, because it is really fine-tuned for the United States, perfect size for 6 modeled sample garment. In Europe, European body's a little bit different parts of the world and country, the body's a little bit different, but in the United States, this is, I'm very happy with it, and I'm very proud of it, so I think you're going to be happy with this sloper. Give me any more input if you have any questions. And I'll be wrapping up today. I would love to hear more about what you think about my idea. And stay tuned. We are going to have videos again weekly. I will get them to you. And if they're not the format that I'm talking about today, they will be just the videos on any subject in fashion design that I find is important to show at that time. So thank you for watching, guys. For the stopers, no seam allowance. There is a no seam allowance. Yes, I will say that before I go off. The sloper is the guts of the body with a tiny bit of ease, just wearing ease, and no seam allowance. That means you can take this piece, you can cut it, you can spread it, you can manipulate it and make a design, and then add your seam allowance and extra ease if necessary. I found another one, bought the sloper. Thank you for those purchases. I really appreciate it. And, you know, see me on Patreon, support me on Patreon because it keeps me going so I can stay 100%. I'm hoping for the day, guys, where I can spend 100% of my time with you on YouTube and related channels and education for you online. That is my goal. Meanwhile, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, support, give me your input, and ask me a question because you know I'm going to answer it. Thank you. Bye-bye.